Hi everyone! Old School Pokemon here, back again with the PokeFlipz podcast, joined by my usual co-host, KetchumAllCollectibles Dan. And today we've got a special guest joining us. We got Adrien joining us from Belgium. How are you both doing today?
Doing well over here. How's it going, Adrien?
Good.
My internet is having issues, so I apologize for us being a few minutes late. That was fully on me. I will throw it over to Adrien, though. For anyone who doesn't know, Treasure Cruise Trading, he goes by on various selling platforms. If you want to reach out to him, his email is down in the description below. We'll kind of talk about who he is, what he does in the hobby. So yeah, you want to give your intro, and then we'll do a Q&A for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, sure. I've really been all over the place the last decade, so I think I'll keep the initial intro short, and we can touch on various eras of my activities later throughout the session. But yeah, so I'm from the EU, Belgium specifically, and I've been flipping all kinds of things for the last decade. I think a lot of people here in the chat, and you too as well. Initially, I started out with Legos, but I quickly switched or swapped the Legos for TCG cards. I really started with Magic cards. I did a brief stint in Pokemon around 2015. I really wish I would have stayed back then, but yeah, who would have known how big the hobby would become. I came back around COVID, like so many people. I did a few big grading plays then, but yeah, as you all know, it was both a good time to start getting into grading, but also a really terrible time with the huge delays. Then I left the Pokemon grading game for a while again, and then since this year we're back, and I'm grading more than ever, and that's Pokemon. But flipping MTG singles has really been our biggest activity for the last 10 years, really. Yeah.
We can see a lot of your singles inventory, I presume, behind you and alongside you on the walls there.
It's mostly all Magic, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we're going to be hanging out. We're probably going to plan to wrap up. I actually have to make a UPS run. We're probably going to plan to wrap up today around 3:30 Eastern. So you guys have us for the next 2 hours plus. If you have any questions for Nick, myself, or Adrien, feel free to leave them in the chat, as we always do. We'll be answering all questions that come through the chat. But let me start with a couple questions for Adrien to dig a little deeper. International in Belgium. One question that I frequently get that I'm not really in the correct position to answer, and I guess Nick isn't either. How does submitting cards work for you from internationally when PSA is in the United States? Do you use middlemen? Do you do directly? How do you deal with declarations and customs? And if you want to touch on some of those, both for now, today, and then what kind of a mess may you have gone through in 2020 out of curiosity? Did you get caught up in any of those middlemen grading debacles that went on?
Those are good questions. So my initial submission was in 2015. It was back when you could still easily find base set booster boxes for $500, $600. And also customs was way less of a pain to private individuals. If you imported something in the range of $500, nobody would bat an eye. The EU was really started hammering down on those. There's basically no limit now. You always get duties, even if you're importing a stupid thing that's worth $5 or whatever. But in 2015 it was pretty easy, and I felt comfortable doing it myself. But by 2020 I went with was it Graded Gem, I think one of the biggest middlemen. Yeah,
there was Graded Gem, and then Ludkins would have been the biggest two.
Yeah. Oh, actually, no, I did Ludkins in something like 2017 too. But I did a big submission through Graded Gem, and precisely because of the was like many reasons, because PSA was like showing signs of shutting down, and it would have been a huge hassle to receive such like. I know in theory it should be like, in theory, if you submit cards from the EU, they're your own goods, so you are entitled to re-import them duty free. But customs are not really, they're not really bothered. They're not your best friend. They're not really gonna go out of their way to make sure everything. And if it at any point gets slapped as an import, you're shit out of luck. Like trying to prove that it was an original, it's like it's a huge problem. But now one of the like to finish up your question, now one of the like if people are interested, one of the most easiest ways, if you're in EU and you want to grade, you ship it to PSA, which luckily the US is quite friendly for imports, and then you have it sent to one of the US consigners, so that the cards never leave the States, and you reduce the like that portion of the risk. I can recommend ZNG. It's a consigner we use.
So you have your PSA returns. You don't even bring them back to your side of the pond. You just have them directly go to James.
No, I don't bother like sending them back anymore. Yeah.
Are there any cards that you ever grade for like personal collection or that you do take back? And like, is PSA good with shipping them back internationally, or will they not even directly ship internationally? I don't even know.
I know there's a lot of middlemen in the EU who organize like to make it easier for people who find it too daunting to ship overseas. They'll collect. Yeah, well, basically what Graded Gem was doing. There's still many middlemen like them. And so I think a lot of people use those if they really want to do PC. Yeah, if you're collecting for personal collection, then it doesn't help sending them to ZNG, of course. So
yeah,
that's not a solution then. But if you do some research and there is good videos on it, it shouldn't be a huge problem if you do everything correctly. But if you want to pay a little bit to a middleman, then also it should be fine. Like you'll get your cards back. So
yeah, I think things are a lot more streamlined. A lot of blame falls on Graded Gem. A lot of blame falls on Ludkins. When I think the core root of the problem was PSA accepting 14 million cards that they stuck in their backlog and took 2 years to get through. Like that was the core breakdown in a lot of ways. But the pandemic and all that was a messy time. But I get that question so frequently,
sure.
like, hey, you guys are in the US, you guys got it easy. How do I do XYZ being international? And it's nice to get someone on here who actually has, I see a couple people, Julia being international, UAP being international as well. It's nice to get that perspective from someone who deals with that every day.
PSA should really just go ahead and like open a facility in the EU. I mean, I'm sure there's enough demand for it, but yeah.
I'd imagine on a long enough timeline, they'll probably make their way there eventually. I feel like I've heard different things on that front over the years, but we'll see if and when that ever happens. They are in Japan now, so they're not.
BBC talking about that too. Did they ever do that?
I feel like they might be talking about that as well. Yeah, I'm not sure of exact time frames or if there's ever like a full commitment on it, but it would be nice for our international friends.
Yes, definitely.
And I do utilize James ZNG Emporium myself, so nice to give him a shout out. But I cannot go without shouting out myself a little bit too. I do have consignments. I do actually have people that use me as their return address, whether my PO box in New York or my vault address with Fanatics in Oregon. And similarly, I have some international consigners. Some of them will directly submit their raw cards to PSA, BGS, CGC, and then they'll use my address as the return address, or they'll just send the raw to me, and then I'll facilitate that grading. I'm not like a grading middleman as far as Graded Gem, Ludkins used to go. Everything that I take raw to be graded is then sold. Like I don't send back cards for your PC or anything like that. It's all just strictly to be sold through consignment after grading. But that's like a very limited thing that I do case by case. So our first question came in from Sebastian. Besides pre-grading, what are your biggest tips for a beginner starting to grade cards to flip? Bankroll $500. Nick, you want to lead us off?
I liked Grimer's answer. Sourcing in person. Where you don't have a ton. $500 is a decent bit to get started with. Don't let that discourage. But where you don't have a ton of money to just dump on random cards. Sourcing in person is definitely going to be your best bet, because then you get to put eyes on the card, actually look at it, make sure it's a PSA 10, make sure it's worthwhile, all that type of stuff. So I would say that's your best bet. If you're not able to, if you don't have any like local shows that are around you, or you're not able to buy locally, I would say eBay in that case, and make sure you're buying from typically lower feedback sellers that are listing these cards individually, giving you a good front and back picture. Don't buy from people who use stock images. Don't buy from TCG Player, because where you only have $500, you want to be careful and make sure that you're getting cards that are going to get PSA 9s, PSA 10, mainly PSA 10s. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Again, go after like low feedback sellers, people who will be more willing to work with you and provide additional pictures. I know like me personally, I always just tell people I can't provide additional pictures, and I'm sure you're that same way, Dan. So don't go after like the big feedback sellers.
And we sell our grading misses too, so don't buy from us. We're not going to sell you PSA 10 worthy cards. They're going to be true. They're going to be near mint. They're going to be like true to what we list them as, but they're not going to be gem mint.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'd be another thing is look at their account and see if they're selling graded cards with single cards or just singles. That'd be another tip there. So that's what I would have to say on that one.
I think you covered that quite well. I was going to add like, don't buy from KetchumAllCollectibles on TCG Player. But sourcing in person is a big one, because if you have $500 and say you want to buy 50 copies of a $5 card, well, there's half your budget. You have to leave a little bit allocated for the actual grading costs. If half of your cards are going to be grading misses that now you need to sell at a loss, that's just tying up a significant portion of your capital. If you can go to a show, if you can go to an LGS, and 100% of your card purchases end up going to grading, like that's huge. That's huge to not have that that grading miss pile to have to offload at best, usually break even, and at worst, usually a slight loss. Anything to add on that, Adrien?
Yeah, a couple of things. Like, if you're playing with $500 bucks, then you almost have to, in my opinion, use it on like very low value plays, because you want to hit the 20 card minimum for the submission anyway. That's like a concern. But also like I always believe in trying to reduce like variance when going after grading plays. I'm not a big fan of like buying a single high-end card, because you can always be unlucky on the grade and then your whole play falls through. So if I'm sourcing like eight cards as a new play, then always try to like at least hit 10 or 20 copies, just so that the bad grades can outweigh or like get even out by the good grades, and you end up making money on the. Otherwise, it's like a coin toss. So.
And I'm going to add to a little bit of a further suggestion. It's kind of cheating, because you're saying your bankroll is 500. I would say you might be best served before you head up to the roulette wheel that is PSA grading. One bad return, like one bad day, it could sink you. It could sink you. It could turn your 500 into 300 or less. So just this morning, Discord was blowing up. Walmart restocked 151 booster bundles. If you're in the US, presumably, check out a Costco, check out a Walmart, check out a Target. The amount of like free tendies out there, the amount of just free money plays, the amount of people I saw on Discord say, hey, I just bought 100 booster bundles, 100 booster bundles of 151. And with $500, you wouldn't be able to buy that. But when there are free double ups, triple ups out there, just waiting to be had, if you're quick enough on Discord, like maybe try to multiply your money, because that's one. Like the smaller the amount of capital you have, the easier it is to 2x it and 5x it. And like those 151 booster bundles, I want to say they went up at like $30. So you're paying like $4 something a pack, maybe $5, but you're making like $2, $3, $4 a pack instantly, just guaranteed. And that scales. It doesn't scale up to the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. But if you've got 50, 500, maybe a couple $1,000, the prospects of just doubling that instantly, like I know somebody in Discord was talking earlier, they just recently sold a few hundred packs to Nick. I'm constantly buying a ton of packs. I've actually been buying packs here from Adrien. That's how I ended up meeting him. And maybe we can talk about that at this point right now too. Some of the opportunities that this market is providing to people to just buy from A, sell to B, make guaranteed percentage gains. Sometimes it's 5, 10, 20%, but sometimes with 151, it's like doubling your money just instantly. So Adrien, I guess to ask a direct question from that, being in Belgium, occasionally there will be two like separate market prices. There will be times where you guys have maybe some excess of product, or the boom isn't quite booming there the same way that it is over here. Whatever the case may be, sometimes there are differences in prices between the United States and in Belgium. And is that something that you've seen quite frequently? Is that something that you make plays on? And if you want to just talk us through your thinking around that.
Oh, for sure. It's like, how would I phrase it? Like, the same item doesn't have to have a price discrepancy necessarily. Like an item could be equally priced in both regions, but it also could fluctuate from geographically. And as long as as long as a certain item starts to what's a good word? If prices are getting far away enough from each other, then obviously plays are becoming possible. It depends heavily on the item. It depends on how easily you can source it locally, and then it also depends on how easily you think you can offload it. We've chatted before. For me, currently, there's quite a lot of deals on some sealed product. Like the sealed boom in the US the last few months has really not like seeped through yet in the EU marketplace. So there's definitely an opportunity that's starting to arise, and I'm sure that a lot of eyes are looking at these price changes, both from the US and from within the EU. But you need to figure out how to execute from point A to point B, indeed. And for me, part of point B was indeed contacting you and starting to offload some for you. But I'm always looking for other people in the US who are interested in a new source of sealed, which potentially could be a great deal below your market price. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's actually interesting. I recently, for the first time, I ordered some Twilight Masquerade, was actually one set. I ordered sealed cases from Adrien, and he was able to meet the offers that I'm generally making, 70 to 80%, somewhere in that vicinity for sealed product. I'm constantly buying for the streams. Like I cannot keep enough of it up. But Nick, have you ever bought international product? It's interesting to see like the case configuration, because whereas like our cases, there's 6 boxes in a row in one line. And then the international stuff, there's 2 this way and then 3 rows of that. So it's still 6 cases within a box. You can actually see occasionally on TCG Player, the lowest listing for like a case might at times be an international product. And that's something that like up until very recently, I didn't even realize they were printed and packed, I guess, in a different configuration than they are in the United States.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either until someone posted an Instagram story about that. I forget who it was, but I saw that just recently. And I was kind of surprised by that because it's like the like WotC cases.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was interesting that they had the differences there. Are there any differences like on the box? Have you looked at the box?
I don't have an English box handy, but I think there are a couple differences. I don't entirely know. Adrien, do you know? Or maybe you don't have the US ones to compare.
Yeah, I have the opposite problem. Yeah.
So I only have.
I'm actually quite sure that they are. Yeah, they are labeled as like the international
right
edition,
there.
I think.
So it does say international right there. The
Oh,
Pokemon Company
okay.
International. I don't know if it's coming through or not, but I guess presumably that would say just the Pokemon Company. Kind of similar to like the difference between the fourth print packs and then the base unlimited packs. I think there's just a couple different like markings on the boxes, but some people might like that variant. I don't know. I guess if somebody's a very in deep down the rabbit hole sealed collector, maybe they'd have to have every variant for their collection. But as far as like the actual cards themselves, there's going to be no difference in the cards themselves. You pull a Greninja from this box, it's going to be the same exact variant, the same thing as the Greninja in the United States. So that's I guess the most relevant thing is for my concerns.
Sorry. Yeah, the thing is, once you crack them, I'm like 100% sure there's no difference on like the card level, like there was with fourth print. You still have like the date, but I'm sure the cards are identical.
Yep. Yeah, but that's interesting. It's interesting. A lot of times there will be different opportunities. As I just said, like I was just saying, hey, if you have a smaller bankroll, maybe you should multiply your bankroll doing almost like a platform arbitrage. When 151 gets stocked on Walmart and when it gets stocked on Best Buy, when it gets stocked on Target, you're just arbitraging the fact that, hey, this one retailer is stuck selling at market price. Like those brick and mortar stores will really never sell above manufacturer's suggested retail price. So you're just arbitraging that fact that, hey, Dan sells on his streams, Nick sells on his streams at full market plus a slight premium probably, usually. So you're just taking it from one area and selling it on a different one. And then in this instance, we're talking about taking it from one continent and selling it on another continent. There are so many inefficiencies in this market. It's not like stocks. It's not like Bitcoin. It's not like things like that where there is one singular market price and everything trades within a couple basis points. There are times where there are 30, 40, 50, 60% differences between what one market, one area is selling these things at versus another. So that's like a huge thing you can leverage. And the smaller amount of capital you're dealing with, the easier it is to just make those quick. Like if you want to say, hey, I've got $5 million that I want to turn into $10 million, that's a very different thing. And you're not likely to be able to do this means. But if you want to turn 50 into 100 or 500 into 1,000, that is happening every day. Like just this morning in one Discord, I watched multiple people make over $1,000 just by buying a couple hundred booster bundles. It's crazy. Let's see. So Pokemon DK said, what platforms do you sell best on? What platforms do you avoid selling on in the EU?
I suppose that's pointed to me.
Yeah. I know of Card Market, but like I don't obviously have any firsthand experience with any of them.
Yeah. Yeah, then it also depends like which game. You have Magic and Pokemon that we dabble in, but I think Card Market is very good for singles, but they haven't built in. I think it's similar to TCG Player. If someone wants to sell a graded card on TCG Player, they have to go through the hassle of making like a custom. You know what I mean, right? Like a custom listing within the normal listing, but it's super inefficient.
Yeah.
We have the same problem in Europe. The biggest portal for cards is not built. Yeah, it's not built for graded. So eBay is also king. But I've never been like a huge fan of selling on eBay, which is why I'm so glad that ZNG exists now. And like he's been saying it himself, but it's true. It makes no sense anymore to sell your own cards. Like a few asterisks, but I think anyone starting out is better off consigning to him. Yeah, but if you're in the EU, then you have the shipping portion, which you may decide that it's easier to sell yourself on eBay versus shipping it to James. But I think we only really have eBay. I'm sure there are Instagram like sub ecosystems that work well in the EU, or maybe Discord, but I'm too new in Pokemon to really know of any of those. Yeah.
As far as like your Magic goes, we primarily are Pokemon here, but we occasionally will talk about other things. Like all those Magic singles behind you, are they on your own website? Are they on Card Market? Like where is your primary source for selling those items?
So the strategy that we use in Magic is totally different from what we do in Pokemon. Because when we buy a Pokemon card, it's basically to grade it and then sell it ASAP, trying to make margin on the grading play. We don't really buy and hold Pokemon singles. I know that there's probably a business in that too. There's probably like slab investors who make good money. But we don't feel like we've figured that out enough. But that's actually what we do in Magic. So we target cards that we think are undervalued, and then we load up on them, and then there's like a pretty big time component to it. We wait out until they gain enough in value to be sold off again. So I think actually only 10% of what we have is actively being listed. The rest is like maturing in value. And of course, like a lot of the plays never make it, but the aim is to make enough bets where your EV in the end becomes profitable. Yeah. So some of these cards will never probably leave the warehouse. Yeah.
Yeah, just building up a big backlog.
And then what makes you say a card is undervalued in Magic? Is it just like tough to pull, the playability aspect, the art being good?
So that probably brings me to like analyzing the main differences between both card games, and it's Pokemon is like a collector's card game, but Magic is really a player's game first, and then you have specific card arts or card versions that people pay more for, but a lot of the value stems from their playability and the functional quality of a card, which to me is much easier to analyze for value than like a certain card. It's the collectability of a card. For sure, you can guess because we know which cards are collectible, but I'm sure both of you are still amazed what some cards go for purely by demand. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I knew he was gonna pull out the Vanguard.
I just had
No, exactly.
I just had yesterday my grades hit from my first PSA return on those. Whew. I had to have a call with John, my partner in that play. We're doing well. I don't want to spoil it. I'm gonna save it for the video. At some point I'll do a video breaking down that play, but man, we did significantly better than what the 10 rate is overall with PSA.
Nice.
Yeah, Nick, did you ever? Let's talk about the gray felt hat now for a minute. I remember when I was visiting you around Chicago time frame, the same time that I bought that case of 400 with John. You had like 30 or 40 or something PSA 10s that you just kind of like forgot about and were sitting on. How many of those do you still have? Did you burn through all those, or what's the status?
No, I'm slowly selling them. So like one I'll sell, I'll relist one, but very very slowly. Like I sold a few at 400 and then 450. Now I'm selling them at 500. So yeah, I'm not in a huge rush to sell those, honestly. I still probably have maybe 30 of them. And then I just got back another 20 of them. That was my last 20. I'm gonna keep 10 of them just to hold on to for the long term, and then just kind of keep slowly selling the other 40 whatever.
As you sell, are you like, hey, I just sold a PSA 10 for 500? Are you trying to go like find a couple sealed copies to replace it, or
no, not at this point, no.
Where's the limit? Is this going to be $1,000? Is this going to be the next Scream Pikachu, but with 10 times the pop?
I honestly think it is going to be the new version of a Scream card. I can see it. I can see it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I absolutely love this card.
I think the artwork
is
so we shouldn't be selling. We shouldn't be selling at 500 then.
That's why I'm keeping 10 of them.
I had the conversation with John, and it's like, as crazy as it is, like right now where we are full sending everything we have, because this is only like a third of our submissions. We did 3 submissions each to CGC, BGS, and PSA, and this is only our first wave. Like our first wave of CGC, I literally just shipped the last pristine this morning. Everything is gone. Our first wave of BGS, a couple are out for sale, but like I have all these 9.5s that I know are PSA 10s, and I don't want to sell them for $250 when I know they're a PSA 10. So I'm probably going to end up trying to like review a couple of the 9.5s into 10s, because the pristine 10s sell for like $1,500 or $2,000 or something insane. But I might try to GCR a couple 10s and do a black label too, see if that ends up happening. But the way that we're going about it is these first wave of returns, we're full sending, all going to be going to Fanatics, all going to be going to ZNG Emporium, just auctions, buy it now, get rid of them. And then if the market goes up from there, it's like we'll reevaluate when the second wave of returns come back, and we'll reevaluate the final time when the third wave comes back, which I'd imagine would happen in the next like month or so. Yeah. All of them should be coming back, and it's mind-blowing how that play has turned out. John and I turned down taking 4 or 5 additional cases to the one that we bought. And just like hindsight is super easy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big, very recent what if. And part of the reason that I wanted to go deeper into the talk, I have a very vested interest, obviously. But being in Belgium, Adrien, do you have any anecdotes or anything to share on the gray felt hat in particular? I think the Netherlands, I believe, is where the Van Gogh Museum is, but that's my geography is not amazing. You're in that vicinity, right?
Yeah. They're exactly, they're like right to the north of us. They're a neighboring country. Yeah.
Okay, 3 hours.
Yeah, I have a lot of stories. I have a lot of stories on the gray felt. It's actually the card that pulled me into grading again after a short pause. So yeah, really happy that we made the move, because it's been super fun and also like profitable. So, but specifically, like I remember in Feb they were coming out, because yeah, you had wave 1 in the museum, but that was a total disaster. And then they decided to basically release them through toy stores. Like, I guess if it was the US, they would have gone through like GameStop or like, just so you have a reference. They released them through like a similar chain of toy stores, but they were really like starting to flood here locally. So I remember picking them up quite easily for 50 or maybe even $40. And I even remember like hitting a point where I guess I was like holding on, because I was like amassing a first submission to PSA, and I was like, I'm sitting on 50 of these. Like, what if I tank the US price market? But as obviously that was super naive. But yeah, that's how I got started, and I've been I've been keeping on buying them ever since Feb. Every time we sell out, I source new ones. It's getting harder every month, but there's still like a lot of sealed ones out there. So
what are they like on the ground floor right now? Close to the ground floor, I guess, in Belgium near the Netherlands. Are you like, if you wanted to go out this next week and try to buy 100 of them sealed, is that like plausible? What would be the price points roughly?
no, like at this point, I almost have to source them like by ones and twos. There's not a lot of people left with I think a lot of like position holders dumped when it hit like 100, like when they doubled up. But and yeah, I told you in the call, I've never seen a sealed case. I don't think a lot of people have seen these sealed cases.
I'm gonna keep it forever.
But I'm quite shocked that the guy or the party you dealt with had 4 or 5 more. That's insane.
Yeah,
because
I didn't ask like the backstory on how they came about,
Yeah.
but yeah, they had several.
For sure, like someone somewhere broke some rules to get those cases out of because they were supposed to be handed out to. But okay, that happens with every product. So that's
it's so wild how the pop of those things is 30,000 plus and climbing. That's just with PSA. Then you add CGC and BGS. I like the card, but $500 is a lot of money too. And you can buy a lot of different cards in the hobby. Like you can buy some PSA 10 first edition Walty Hollows. You can buy a lot of PSA 10 alt art. It's like you can buy a lot of different things in the hobby for $500. And for this, it's nuts. Hive Mind says, don't ask questions
what
that you
do you
don't
think
want
is
the
more?
answer to.
Oh, sorry.
Absolutely. No, go ahead.
Dan and Nick, which card do you think is more fairly valued right now? The Gray Felt or the Bubble Mew?
Felt hat. 100%.
I think they're both
So Bubble
significantly
Mew
more than I value
overvalued,
them.
or
Bubble Mew overvalued, yes.
And are you saying
Okay.
undervalued? Would you go so far as to say undervalued, Nick, on the Van Gogh?
Oh, I don't know if I'd say undervalued.
Well,
no.
he's keeping 10.
I honestly do think the Van Gogh makes more sense, though.
I
Someone's
think
got a
neither
gun
will
to your
make
head. Which one are you buying?
neither.
You have to, or you're dying.
Oh,
Boom,
God.
you're dead.
I like them both. I think they're both really cool. I think for $50, I'd be happy to have either in my collection.
They're not $50. They're $500.
I know. No, like if I had to, I have multiple of each. I have significantly more of the gray felt hats. If I had to just keep one forever for what it is, I guess I'd probably pick the Van Gogh because it's an English exclusive, right? It's got like more things going for it than just being another set card. And there are heaps of set cards. There are lots of cool arts. As I always say, artists will art, but the Van Gogh one is like, English exclusive is like a really cool angle to put on it because you don't have that many of those. Japanese gets significantly more exclusives. I mean, countless exclusives in Japan. But what do we have? We have the special delivery cards. We have the Van Gogh. We have a very small list compared to Japanese. So that would be the one that tilts my answer towards the gray felt hat.
What would your answer be to that, Adrien?
Like I'm seeing a comment where is the most iconic card in SV. I have to admit I do like the art, but I think, and I mean, it has to be a meme too that it's like the card with the bubble is like the showcase card for the current bubble we're seeing. I mean, it's
I don't like
too good
calling
to
it
be
the
true,
Bubble
yeah.
Mew. It's the Boom Mew.
The
bubble's
Boom
a
Mew.
scary word. Don't tell me these guys are in a bubble. I haven't sold all mine yet. But yeah, it's so many things. Just every week something new is spiking in price and some new crazy thing is going on. It's still like surreal being in this market, doing what it's doing, I've been full-time in it for 3.5 years, and I still don't have a grasp on what's going to happen and when, and the amount of luck that happened into that play. Like I specifically went to Chicago targeting gray felt hat Pikachus. I did not think I was going to leave with 400, but I intended to not leave with less than 100 of them. And it wasn't because I knew or even suspected that they were going to double seemingly overnight. That was just the pure luck side of it. It was just like, hey, I've been saying all the time, I want to grade the cards that have pop 10,000 plus. I want to grade thousands of every card that has pop 10, 20, 30,000 because they sell like crazy quick and the liquidity is unmatched. But nowhere in my calculus on making that play, nowhere was factored in that this card could have doubled in the time that I was getting my grades back and stuff. That completely caught me off guard.
So quickly too.
Yeah.
It was wild.
It's so nuts. Hardstyle City Sayings, gray felt hat 250 USD before the end of the year. I hope so. I really hope so. Walrus says, I fear people don't know what iconic means. Yeah, I really like the Bubble Mew, the Paldean Fates Mew, but I like a lot of cards. And again, like the thing that sets that one off is being an English exclusive. I think that's the cool part about it. But UAP in chat did ask, so Adrien, you still don't have an Instagram, right? No Instagram. Best way to reach you would be your email that I linked in the description. And then you're in a couple different Discords, right? Or is it just the one?
Yeah, true. So like a funny story, I actually, after we called, I tried to set up an Instagram for our business, but it instantly got flagged as like it got insta banned, and I was hit with a please read our terms and conditions. I don't know what I did wrong, but so yeah.
So email or Discord then. Yeah, you're Adrien0436 on Discord. So yeah, feel free to reach out to Adrien on the email linked below. And then Kiki Jiki actually asked, Treasure Cruise, is that like, I don't understand the reference. That's something in Magic. Is that like the name of a card or something?
Yeah. Damn, I should have put one close by, but yeah, you can look up the card. Our logo is based on it. Yeah, we were incorporating, and we just needed a name basically. And I went through a list of cards, and this one stood out to me. Not to like go too deep, but it's like the art of the cards. It's just a ship that's taking goods, like priceless goods, from one place to another. So it felt kind of fitting. That's what we're doing. But also, it's like when it came out, people thought it was going to be a pretty trash card. It also it came out at the lowest rarity in the game. Yeah, that's the one.
This card? Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So like it came out and was really people didn't see its potential, but pretty quickly soon after they actually had to ban it because it was overpowered. So it's kind of like it kind of has like an underdog story to it as well. And it's really just a notorious card for people that play Magic and know the card. So, but that's it. Yeah.
Interesting. You mentioned it being banned. I actually have next to me a box. I know it's been kind of big news, or it feels like it's big news in the Magic world, even though I'm not in the Magic world.
Oh.
Rudy made a video about it. Do you have a big position in Kaladesh boxes? Do you have many of the singles? Were the singles affected as well, or just the sealed product primarily?
I haven't watched Rudy's video. I don't think it will be as big of a deal as people may or may not be making it out to be. The fact that the name is now being retconned to something else.
So
for
if
sure,
you had them, would you just like insta sell them into the hype?
If they're going up on this news, I would. Yeah, I would dump.
Yeah.
But I mean, the set's special because they, for a short while, they did like ultra rare cards. I guess you maybe know because you're you have a position in them. But the masterpiece cards, there is something to say because of the long-term potential to keep on to those boxes. But I think they already realized a lot of their gains. By the way, like offhand, I think Pokemon Sealed has much more potential than MTG.
Yeah,
at least in the.
This isn't my position. This is actually so this one is mine, because what happens is I'm actually transitioning the consigner over to James because I'm not doing eBay consignments anymore. But I had one consigner that sent me a bunch of Magic, and I'm not taking Sealed in the future anymore either. So this one got returned. Someone returned this to me like 2 weeks ago because it has this little tear in the corner. That person's probably like not happy with themselves for having returned it at this point. But I do have a few more boxes on behalf of the consigner that I reached out to him via email, and he's like, I asked him, I said, hey, with the recent news, with the price jump in this, do you want to just auction them all at once? So starting this Sunday night, we're just going to auction the last 3 boxes that he had to get rid of them into the little hype that came out for it.
Wait, so what's the story with those?
I guess Kaladesh can have some potentially negative connotations, some like racist undertones or something for some reason. Like I don't know the history behind it. All I know is the stuff that Rudy said. I know Magic has had a history of banning certain things. Like I think there's a Crusade card and certain cards with religious symbols, certain cards with different things that were more, I don't know. I don't really know too much about all that stuff, but this is just coming from Rudy's video.
So what's happening? The cards are getting banned?
I guess they're just changing the name of Kaladesh, right? They're gonna. I think they've already said what they're gonna use instead.
But isn't it set out of?
They're like so. Yeah, Magic, but Magic works with different planes that they visit frequently, and they're going to revisit this same plane, but it's going to have another name now. They're retconning it basically.
So is Kaladesh like a Unova? It's like a region within the world, or is it like an entirely different universe?
Well, in the Magic lore, it's closer to a different world. Yeah. Like maybe universe even. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but
I know there's like planeswalkers and I don't know exactly. I don't know. Walrus says undertones. Nick is putting in his bid now. Oh man. So let me see. I have a few more questions starred. So UAP said, why is Magic a player's game that wants to cater to collectors, and Pokemon is a collecting game that wants to be a player's game? That is interesting. Just to think about the different dynamics between each, it would be very important. And I think both companies do have a pretty decent grasp on what they are, but occasionally one of them will do something that makes you think like, do these guys not know who they are? Do they not know who they should be catering towards? I've got my Magic 30th up here. So sometimes one of the companies will come out with a product like this, and it's like, how do you miss so badly? How have you not done more research and be more aware of what your consumers are after and what will make them not happy at all? So yeah, I think UAP is just making a commentary towards that. I don't know if you guys have any further commentary on that, but
that is so true. I never thought of that until now, but yeah, no, that is so true. And I have no idea. I hate the fact that Pokemon doesn't cater to collectors. They do a little bit, but not a ton. They definitely focus way more efforts on players.
Like I think both are just like trying to increase their market share. Like Pokemon knows that collectors are going to buy their product anyway, and then they want to see how much bigger they can make the game, and vice versa with Magic. They know they have their players figured out, but they want to go after the collector money too. So yeah,
and you can see like the Lord of the Rings, the One Ring, that did a lot of like this one might have missed, but it seems like the Lord of the Ring one really hit. So they're trying to figure it out as they go, and sometimes the best way to learn is to make a big mistake. And I think in hindsight they would classify this as a mistake, and maybe someday this will be worth a lot. I think these are still doing relatively fine from what they released at. I haven't looked in quite a while, but
Could be. I was actually, when I saw you ripping some Magic 30, I was actually surprised then.
I truly I love that a company I want Pokemon to put this out. I want Pokemon to put out something that has the chance to hit like a serialized base first Zard reprint or something like that. I just think it's really wild, and I'm a gambler at my core. So when you give me the chance to pull a Lotus, like I'm not gonna throw everything at it, but I threw a little bit at it. I pulled a couple dual lands, but yeah, the product just really intrigued me, and Pokemon does it to an extent. I mean, they sell the serialized Master Ball. It's off screen slightly, but they sell some different serialized products, limited products, the watches and this and that at a massive premium. And their ability to just put their name on anything and sell it for obscene amounts of money is wild to me. And I just had to partake because I knew it was going to be historic one way or the other.
I don't know if you'd partake in Pokemon.
To be fair,
your ripping days are behind you, I think.
Not if they release.
That was back during your peak ripping days.
Yeah, but if they released $1,000, make it $5,000. Make it $5,000 for like 25 cards. Put it in an aluminum briefcase like they do with sports cards, and give me a chance. Like I'll probably only rip one, and then I'll be buying a bunch for the streams too. I would be participating in that though, as the degenerate gambler that I am.
it's kind of crazy that Pokemon still only has one type of booster pack. I mean, they do, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously back in the day, WotC, they used to have first edition and unlimited, but they haven't had that since. I mean, E-Series put an end to that, and they they don't have like Magic. I actually have one in front of me. Again, some of the like Magic has the collector's boosters, these small configurations, much more premium product, and then they have like the regular boosters. But Pokemon just has booster boxes, booster bundles, ETBs. They just have different ways of delivering the same fundamental packs. I guess Japanese has like high class sets versus the regular sets, so that's a little bit of a difference. The high class sets are more premium in that I guess that's probably the closest analogy we have in Pokemon to Magic's collector booster, because you get less cards overall for a similar MSRP, I believe, in the like when you look at your V-Star universe versus a 151, and I guess 151 is even different too, because a lot of Japanese boxes are like 30 packs, whereas 151 is 20 packs, and then the
specialty
high class sets are 10 packs. So yeah, they have close to that ish in Japanese, I guess, but not to the same level still. And long enough timeline, I think that stuff comes. I think serialized cards come. But right now, Pokemon doesn't need any help. Pokemon doesn't need any additional layer. I mean, Surging Sparks is $200. So I don't anticipate seeing it between now and like 2030. But 2040, 2050, if you tell me that serialized cards come out, or a second SKU comes out that's geared at a higher price point, at a collector chance for serialized, I fully think that will happen eventually. What do you guys think on that?
I think it's I don't know. It's tough because it did like revive Magic. I think like the one of one ring Magic did not seem to be doing well until that, and now it seems to be doing better. So I think if we do see serialized cards, it's because we need them, and it's because Pokemon's in a bad spot and they're trying to bring interest back into it. So I think it would be really cool to get that, but at the same time, I almost never want to see that because it means that something went wrong, and there's not much interest in Pokemon anymore, and they're trying to bring it back to life.
What do you think, Adrien?
So like I'm obviously the least experienced here, but I could also see, because do you know who ultimately decides the future of Pokemon? It's the Japan Corp, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how the hierarchy works, but they're the one who do all the original design sets, and then they launch the original iterations of the sets in Japanese. Who decides what from the Japanese sets go into which English sets? I don't really know how that works, but definitely in Japan, like the Pokemon company's where it all starts.
But I could see them holding on to like a philosophy of like purity or something, like, and we're not going to debase, like, Pokemon is unique and we're not going to debase it to the dopamine tricks that sports and whatever use to like, yeah, I don't know if you know what I mean, but we're not going to put numbers on cards to make them more special. The cards are ought to be special on their own or something. Maybe, I mean, maybe that's a philosophy they have, but maybe
Yeah,
that all goes out the door when, like Nick says, they're hitting a lower point and they need something to boost interest. Yeah,
that's exactly what I was gonna say. Like I would be shocked if at any point in the next year or two we were to get any kind of a release saying like, hey, serialized cards are coming. Like there's an inherent risk there. The amount of people that say like, think of the children, these things are game pieces, everyone should have everything be accessible. Hey, I collect every Mew that's ever created, and now you put a Mew out of 100 and I have no shot, I can't afford this hobby anymore. All that kind of like negativity that would come inevitably if they were to do that. I don't think they'll do it unless they have to, but I truly think on a long enough time frame it just feels inevitable. That's where sports went. A lot of the comic type cards that went there, and Pokemon's already there. They're just there only in merch right now. I guess if you want to get like cheeky about it, the Bear Walker skateboards, there are cards associated with them that are actually numbered. So like there are 2.5 inch by 3.5 inch rectangles of cardboard that are serialized in Pokemon. They're just the Bear Walker ones, and they're non-TCG. They're kind of like the I've got all 400 of these inserts over here because I'm gonna have to grade these eventually too, because bless the hobby. But they're kind of more analogous to this. They're not an actual TCG, but they're serialized. And yeah, I just see that inevitably making its way to the actual. Maybe it'll. To be fair, maybe it'll never be in the actual TCG. What they could do, what would be kind of cool in my opinion, like if they re-collaborated with Topps someday and say that they did like I don't play the game. If they take all those pesky words off my cards, like I just want to see Pikachu in his gray felt hat. I don't want to read Pika Portrait. I don't want to search my deck for a Pikachu and put it on my bench. I don't even know what that means. I don't know how to play the game. So like if they made, and obviously this is a promo, so this is a bad one to use as an example. But like this card is in the set and you can buy it and you can open it from a box like this and you can play your game, and then Topps at the same time releases something like this, same set, but none of the words, no HP, no attacks, just full art, like literally full art with no words scribbled over it. And then you have your serialized levels. And so truly a separate, distinct collector's product. Maybe I'm just insane. I almost definitely am some percent insane, but I think that would be really cool personally. I don't know that I don't know. What do you guys think on that?
I think it would be cool, but it would be Topps in the 90s. The Pokemon cards you don't want. Yeah, it would be a lot cooler than Topps back in the 90s. It would do well, but it's not what people want. They want one of one actual TCG cards.
That's an interesting thought though too. Like most of us, at least it's bad to speak on behalf of other people, but like a lot of people that I know, the majority of people that I know that interact with the cards, they don't play the game whatsoever. Mm-hmm. What if all the words were taken off? Does that make it better for you? Do you like that more? Like I like that more. It gets me to the art better. It doesn't take away from the art, these words being on it. Like back in the day, they used to have I don't have a great selection of cards on my desk. I have this nice PSA 6 Kabuto though.
That's a great
but like,
right there.
The art used to distinctly have its own box, and then all the words would be out here. But now it's like, hey, make the art bigger. Maybe I'm innovating right now. The next version, one, you double the art, but then the words get in the way. The next iteration, like, hey, you can't go outside the scope unless you get like a 3D hologram, 4D hologram projector type thing built into the cardboard. But how do you get the arts bigger and bolder without making the card any bigger? You take the words away. Dan's innovating. $1 billion idea. You're welcome, Pokemon. You can use that one for free.
It's kind of funny because
is that what you're saying?
Sorry, I
then
missed,
like in Magic, in Magic we have these textless promos. So it's exactly because people want to see the nice art on cards. So they'll put the full card is just art, and then there's no text on it, but the card is still meant to be used as a game piece. And the ironic thing is that they did these promos for some of the cards that had the most words. So you'd almost had to have like a second copy on hand, the normal version, to remember what the card actually does.
How were those received?
Yeah.
Like, do they hold much value? How are they received with respect to
the
very that has the text?
Very well. Like I don't think there's a single instant where it's not more expensive than the normal. But they did it very sparingly. So
I like that. So maybe,
but it's a good discussion. Like for some reason, I do feel if you take away the words, the cards become worthless, even though no one wants to play the game. It's so weird. Yeah,
it's an interesting like theoretical discussion, because to me, like I can't tell you. Like I remember base at Charizard. He does Fire Spin for 100 damage, and he has 120 hit points. And I know my favorite card in the hobby, it's right behind me. I could cheat and I could turn around and I could look. Nick, what attack does Shining Gyarados do?
I have no idea.
How many energy does it cost? What damage does it? Like, I have no clue. He does Outrage and he does Devastate. My favorite card in the hobby, I never look there.
No,
I don't look there. I look there.
I actually, honestly, I could not even tell you that it required fire and water energies.
Yeah, and
forget even reading. I didn't even know the energy type.
Yeah, fighting and water is Outrage, and then fire and water is Devastate. So very, very non-playable, I presume, considering that you have to carry so many energies in your deck. But like, yeah, the thought of Pokemon releasing a promo that just doesn't have any words, that doesn't have any like nod towards there being a game, because most of the promo releases, like, they're not remotely playable anyways. Tropical Beach being one big exception. That was a very valuable card because it was given out to the world's participants, and it was actually like really good in certain decks. So it was worth a lot of money. But like Champions Festival, horrifically unplayable. It says something about like finding Psyduck cards in your deck or something along those lines, like something that has no value in any deck ever. But yeah, I think it's an interesting discussion to be had. If they came out with the Team Rocket set, if they came out with a big Giovanni card, think of those like Japanese promo, that Japanese Team Rocket promo release where the cards are like 5-figure cards. If they had one of those that like, hey, the regular art is a card with the text, and the alternate art, well, it's actually not an alternate art. It's just the same card, but wall to wall, the same image, but no text. Would that be more or less valuable? I would think more.
If they do it like, if they do it like that, that's the way to do it. Then it would be like a super chase, I think. Yeah.
But like in a separate product that wasn't within the same boxes, that would probably be more frowned upon or like less accepted, probably.
That's what I would say. Yes.
Read the Fat Belly says, read the Pokemon description on the Gyarados. Once it appears, it goes on a rampage. It remains enraged until it demolishes everything around it. I don't know if that's what he wanted me to read or not. Today I learned what those words were on my my favorite card. We got, I saw a Retro in here somewhere. Where did Retro go? So Retro says, question, I gave Dan the hottest set of the year at cost. Am I dust? And then we got Ernesto asking, I'm looking for Japanese sealed product at unbeatable low prices. Thoughts? So look no further than underscore retrospecs on Instagram. He is my plug. I guess I can't say that this is an unsponsored thing because he does at times give me product at cost. Certain times I'm paying cost, certain times I'm paying a slight markup. But yeah, appreciate you, Retro, for sure, hooking me up with the Terastal Festival. How's that going for you, Nick? How's your Terastal going?
Really, really good. Really good. I was so I got mine. When did I get mine? It's not important. It was a few days after the Friday release. Monday, I think it was Monday night is when I got it. The first batch I got was 80 boxes. I offered them like throughout December. I'm doing a daily deal on eBay for my eBay lives. And so when I got those boxes, my daily deal was Terrestrial Festival booster boxes at $70 a piece. Which was a good deal. It was by far the cheapest streaming price. It was just under the cheapest eBay buy it now price. So it was a good deal. I sold all 80 boxes, and I had more people asking, "Do you have any more available?" And so then I got my second shipment of 80 Tuesday. Started ripping those on Wednesday. And I think I sold 30 boxes, 30 or 40 boxes on Wednesday night. So I'm up to like 110 boxes sold between 2 nights of streaming. Luckily, I've got this batch of so I have like 50 left right now, and I've got another 200 coming in. So it's going really, really well. I'm having a ton of fun ripping it too. I wasn't sure what to think about the set when we were seeing all those leaks come out, because I wasn't a big fan of the hats on all the SAR EVs. So I didn't think the artwork was going to be that good. But then seeing what the cards look like in person with the texture, they look so good. But someone in the chat was saying, my eBay live chat was saying, what's going to happen with the English release? Because the cards look so good with the texture, and we never get that good texture with English. Which ever since I heard that, it's made me question what is the English release going to look like? Because without the texture, I don't think these SARs would look as good as they do. The texture adds so much to these cards, and English always butchers the texture. So it's gonna be interesting. I don't know how I feel about the English release anymore.
Do you do much with Japanese, Adrien? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm still figuring out what the right moves are for us within English. So not until we've got that figured out. I'm sure there's a lot of people that know, like you guys, including you guys, how to play both differently, because I'm sure they're slightly different the way you want to the way you want to monetize them, right?
Yeah, I haven't opened any of the Terastal. I did get some from Retro. I had it sent straight to PK and Ponga, so I haven't even seen a Terastal card in hand in person yet. It might be, I don't even know when I first will, because I'm not getting any of it shipped to me. We're gonna have some on my eBay that's gonna be sitting with Retro. I'm getting to the point where I don't handle the widgets as much directly anymore. I've got a lot of them sent off to other places. But as Kiki Jiki says, I think the English evolutions will still be fine without the texture. I am not too personally concerned that English will be poorly received or anything. I think people will be quite hyped for it. But who knows? Maybe they won't hold a candle to the Japanese, and we'll see that.
I am sure it'll sell out. It'll do well. But will I actually like the cards? I don't know. I don't know if I will.
Let's see. Here we go. Pokemon DK says, question for Treasure Cruise. Where do you source most of your cards? Is it a supplier, card market, etc.? You might have touched on this a little bit earlier, but this was a separate question.
So for both Pokemon and MTG, it's mainly card market. I was gonna say it's a super good platform. They haven't innovated in 10 years, but they have the monopoly. They're good because everyone's on there. The site could use a lot of improvements, but in Europe it's the go-to. I think it's maybe even better than TCG Player.
I was gonna say it sounds just like TCG Player, but in Europe instead. Because like TCG Player, the website is so frustrating in so many ways. It feels so ancient. It feels so out of date in so many ways. But like it is the place to sell. Like the liquidity, the volumes that you can sell of single cards is just mind blowing.
Yep.
I guess one thing I wanted to ask too for you is this like strictly, you mentioned you getting back into it and the time frames and stuff, but unless I missed it when I was looking for questions, is this your main job? Is this a side hustle? Like where does this stand in your employment, I guess?
I'm in the middle of transitioning from it being my main job, well, from my side hustle to main job. The thing is, it's funny because I'm not actually employed at the moment, but I told you I'm doing med school, but yeah, for various reasons, it's I'm considering really making it full time now. I'm juggling both at the moment, but it's not tenable. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew we had talked about it offline. I couldn't remember if it was brought up online or not, but it's so crazy. Like a former chemical engineer quitting that to do Pokemon full time. I know Retro is doing like schooling for finance and talking to all these different people, pausing med school potentially to pursue cardboard full time, leaving engineering fields, leaving accounting, leaving like the types of fields that people are leaving to ride this wave. Nick, you're muted. You're muted, Nick.
Dang it. What about shipping? Working on a ship? Nobody cares about that?
Yeah, I mean, leaving riding around on big boats around the world. Leaving the, I mean, Treasure Cruise. Treasure Cruise, it's in the name. Nick used to go on a bunch of big cruises around the world. But it's wild. It's still, like I said earlier, talking about the Van Gogh and what it's done in price and the Bubble Mew and all these different things. It's so crazy still. I'll still be occasionally having a conversation with somebody, meeting one of my wife's coworkers or whoever, and the thing comes up of like, oh, what do you do? Or are you still like, how's things going at my old company's name? I forget who a relative, actually my aunt, one of my aunts, I went to drop off. She ordered some popcorn from my son, Cub Scout popcorn sales drive thing they do every year. And she's like, how are things going at the company? And like, oh, I haven't been there for 3.5 years. I quit and I'm doing Pokemon now. So I'm still having that with like some pretty close relatives on occasion. And they're just like, I think most of them still think like, oh man, that's bad to hear that Dan must have gotten fired. I'm sure Walrus will be in here.
Fired?
Walrus or Brad will be in chat saying like, yeah, Dan got fired from his job. I'm sure a lot of people actually think that, which is just hilarious when you think about like the context of what's going on, and it's just mind blowing.
Do you get the oh, really?
Yeah, I've had the conversation with my parents too. I remember when it was happening. My dad said that he had told some people, and they were like, "Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad." And it's like, it's just funny the assumptions that get made with it. And like I would have expected if you could have interviewed me 3.5 years ago when I was quitting my job, I would have expected to be making less by now than what I was formerly making. Like I would have expected to be making less today than what I was leaving behind, what I would be making today if I stayed there. It's still not the case. Maybe it'll happen next year. Maybe it'll happen 5 years from now. Maybe it'll never happen. But like I consciously left knowing that I was probably going to be making less money in 5 or 10 years. And I was happy with that because the freedom, all the other stuff, like is worth making less money. But when you, I was escorted out, does not paint peaceful transition of power. There was a very peaceful transition of power. I put in my 2-week notice. They did walk me out early though. I got paid for my 2 weeks, but they walked me out after 1 week, and I got to just get paid for the final week without actually being there. That was nice. But yeah, just a funny little thing I wanted to share. It's wild the amount of full-time people in Pokemon that I know now. And from when I quit my job, I was not the first to do it. I was following in the footsteps of Nick and other people that quit before, and so many more have quit since. And I don't know of too many people yet, and it's not surprising given the market that we're in. I don't know of too many people yet that have quit their Pokemon job and returned to the workforce. And in the coming 5, 10, 20 years, like, do you think that's a trend we'll see? Either of you, I guess? Do you think the markets will shift and change? Do you think a lot of people will be quitting their Pokemon job to go back to the real world, a real job? Or do you think a lot of people are going to be doing this to retirement?
I can see definitely people quitting Pokemon to go back to a normal job after the boom, or after whatever we're in right now. I can see it for sure. I think it's a lot easier for people to. I think it's a lot easier for people to quit their job and go full-time Pokemon than leave Pokemon and go back to a full-time job, if that makes sense. Because like I quit my full-time job to go Pokemon knowing that I was going to make less. And I think I'm just at a point where I'm making the same as I was on the ship. But I'm fine making less because of like what you said, all the freedoms and stuff that come with it. But yeah, that's what I would say on that one.
What about you, Adrien? Do you think, are you riding the wave? Do you think it's a short-term thing? You're just catching the wave, riding it while it's here? Do you think you'll be back in the trajectory you were on before within 5, 10 years? Or do you think you're going to be riding this out like forever? Or do you just not know and not speculate?
Yeah, pretty much the latter. Like, I'm not much of a predictions guy because just seeing how often and easily you can get surprised by the way the hobby goes, to me, makes it kind of pointless to try and predict out how you want it to happen. So for sure, this probably won't last like a full career, I'm pretty sure of, but I have no problem dialing it back down to it being a side hustle. So if and when that day comes, sure, and as long as it doesn't, great, because yeah, it's great to be doing your own thing and not be dependent on a boss. And it's, I mean, yeah, obviously you two know why you made the decision. And then especially for Nick, yeah, you were tied to a boat. I've heard it's a good paying job, but that it can drive you crazy. Just the way, yeah, the nature of the job, yeah.
Yeah, I can't say for certain that 5, 10 years from now I'll be doing Pokemon, but I'd be surprised if I wasn't doing it for the next 3 to 5 at least. But things like, if you had asked me 5 years ago, which is like a year and a half before I quit my job to do Pokemon full time, if you had asked me, hey, do you think you'll be an engineer in 5 years? I would have said, yeah, I'm quite 90% confident that I will be an engineer in 5 years still. But I was pretty confident I wouldn't be one in 10 or 15 or 20. So that's kind of like where I'm at now. I'm as confident as I can be that I will be doing this full time in a few years from now. But things can change the other way just as quick as they change this way, I think. I knew my biggest fans would be chiming in, and Dan screaming, "Join my Discord" as he walked out is footage I need in my life. It's funny. Some of my recent interactions I've had with people, like coworkers that I've seen for the first time since I left, I've seen them recently, and they didn't even know what I went into. Sadly, I was not telling people to join my Discord, join my Patreon as I was walking out the door. A lot of people had no idea. Actually, my boss asked me where I was headed, and I just like politely declined. I'm like, I'm not going to answer that. I have plans. I have something. But yeah,
Why?
I don't.
Yeah, why?
Were you not like close with your boss?
I was not.
I mean,
like, we
and
never hung out.
you're so online. Yeah, like you're so online anyway. So like, you had no reason to hide it or anything, right?
I don't think I double dipped as hard as a lot of people in this space do, but there was definitely some minor double dipping going on. So I didn't want to say like, oh, hey, I'm going to go be a full-time Pokemon seller. And then they look back at my user log on my PC and be like, he was on eBay a fair bit. He was on this Pokemon forum. Like that was part of it to some extent, like just full transparency, admittedly. And then the other part of it was like, I just didn't care to tell them. I don't know. Like it didn't matter at all. I made certain demands that they didn't meet and I wasn't going to stay. And I don't know. I guess it was just information that it felt like, and that's one point that I can add too. There were a lot of people that I was really close with that I still talk to today. They all knew, but the people who didn't know for a reason, because I wasn't friends with them outside and it was strictly professional in the workplace, which was fine. But yeah, like the people who knew, and the people who didn't know, it's like you didn't find out over the past 5 years knowing me that I was doing this stuff on the side. So like you don't really need to know now either. I don't know. That was part of what do you mean? Where am I going? You just fired me. Oh man, that's funny. But yeah, I didn't want to get review bombed on all my socials.
Yeah, that too.
It's crazy how Dan made a business out of lying to his wife about being terminated. So happy it worked out. I wish that's actually one. I think I've mentioned it before on YouTube, but I wish I was terminated. Honestly, if I was smarter, I would have just like, I was getting more bold. And I don't know if either of you could have any discussion on this, but I was just having this conversation with someone else recently. My final year, especially, I was getting more bold at work. I didn't need the job anymore. I think the best employee for most companies is someone who lives paycheck to paycheck and someone who needs the job. If you don't need the job, you are more likely to step out of line. You are more likely to clash and push back on certain things. And if you like fear losing your job because you'll be out on the street, I think a lot of times you're more controllable and you're more obedient. And who was I just? Someone in my personal, it wasn't anyone in Pokemon. It wasn't, I can't remember who I was having this conversation with, but if I was smart, I would have gotten myself let go because I would have saved myself, like, I believe it was $12,000. When I quit, I had to write a check for them. I had 6 months to do it. I had the money day one when I quit, but I had 6 months per the contract that I signed. They actually subsidized my master's program that I did while I was there. And I didn't stay long enough after graduating to get that all forgiven. So had I been let go, as long as it wasn't like for cause, had I been downsized, had I been let go, which is generally what they'll do. They generally won't fire you for insubordination or whatever. They'll let you go to avoid legal conflict or whatever, potentially. So I would have had that all forgiven had they fired me. And that would have been a very advantageous financial way to get out of there. Would be to have been getting fired. The whole paycheck to paycheck speech hits different when Dan employs streamers. Dark. See, I specifically, the 2 streamers that I have, not to say that I'll never have a streamer who's full-time in Pokemon, but I like the fact that both of them have 9-to-5s. I like the fact that they don't need the income from me. I actually like that they aren't paycheck to paycheck and like, well, PK has kids. Like I like the thought that me failing and having to cease the business relationship with him won't like put his family out on the street. Someday, maybe I'll have a streamer who does Pokemon full time, and I will definitely feel a little bit different about that, knowing that like, hey, somebody's livelihood depends on me succeeding. And yeah, I'm not super keen on having that responsibility, I guess, to be honest.
I've never worried about too much. It's like I just think of all the cardboard boxes I can give Walrus if things don't work out.
Oh man,
he'd have a sweet cardboard house under a bridge somewhere.
Dan shits on all his coworkers every live. Being close to them means he knew their names. No, a lot of the people that I give talks and anecdotes about, most of them, some of them I actually still do talk to today, but they definitely don't watch the channel. But most of them, though, I didn't know personally outside of work, and a lot of them didn't even last too long at work. Let's see. We got off the rails there for a while, but here we go. And maybe we can get a magic answer on this too. Adrien, I'll let you start here. Is there any current sealed product that could actually be justified opening to make a profit? Is that ever anything you do in Magic? Do you buy any of those like commander decks and break them down to just sell for singles?
From time to time, when it's a really good deal, but I don't have any ongoing, neither in Pokemon nor Magic, ongoing relationships with distros. So it's pretty rare that I can get in at the ground level for sealed, which I think if you're going to crack, it's already super hard. If you're not getting in on the lowest you can, it's foolish to do. I think cracking at retail is rarely ever worth it. And even at distro for a lot of product, as I understand in Pokemon, the EV is it's terrible, basically. The chances of breaking even on a case are small, right?
I believe so. Aside from if you're like Nick used to actually mass break to some extent. Nick, you used to mass break. There you go. So some of the products you can break down for profit, but you used to mass break a case and used to list the common and uncommon sets, and you used to list the reverse hollows, and it was profitable, but not a great hourly rate, and only if you got down to selling everything.
Yeah. No, we did it with Surging Sparks, and I think it's going to work out with the lives. Without the lives, I wouldn't have done it with how expensive the boxes were. But honestly, this one, if it's different because we're able to get through distro. But the battle decks that just came out, 3 Charizards, a Prime Catcher, plus all your other trainers in there. That was if I was doing TCG player still, that would have been the product that I've got a absolute ton of. Because before that came out, the Prime Catcher was like $25, $30. Now it's down to $5-10. But even the Charizards, those are $3 to $5 a piece. And that's only 4 cards out of the entire deck. So some of those decks are really, really good in Pokemon, but you need to. It's a lot of work breaking those down and selling the individual cards. It's so you gotta be fine putting in the work to do that. I don't think there's any product that is you're opening it, you're making $100 per box that you're opening. There's nothing that's worth an absolute crazy ton.
Yeah, it's the exception. I know. Talking about breaking down some of the Magic decks, I know that Eli Pokemart, he occasionally talks about how he has a Roka, he has a Fizzbatch, he'll buy hundreds of some commander deck and just break it down, sell the singles on TCG Player. But I got to get all my Prime Catchers together and get those sent over to Skya for TCG Player. I didn't realize those were so much. But yeah, I didn't get a crazy amount of those cards. Sorry, those boxes, but years ago, I used to do it more. Years ago, I would break down I remember the Moltres, Articuno, Zapdos decks. Do you remember that, Nick? Late Black and White era. Well, it had Black and White era reprints. It had the legendary birds from Plasma Storm reprinted.
That was before I got back in to Modern. I was in WotC back then.
Oh, it was 2015-ish maybe. It was the legendary bird trio, and they each had their own battle deck. There were a lot of plasma cards in it. There were Versus Seekers. There were cards along those lines. Those were very profitable to break down. I'm sure if Rusty listens to this later, he'll definitely be remembering that. There used to be a lot of different decks, and I used to break down the theme decks too. I remember the Breakpoint theme decks. I believe had max elixirs, and you used to be able to buy what was a $6 theme deck, and you'd get $20 worth of trainers in some of them. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, that was a while back.
For sure. I think the best plays for sealed are the ones where you know what's in them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think
No randomness.
yeah, the
Yep.
ones you're describing are all yeah, exactly. Actually, like a recent one I did was the Greninja 132 EX Shredded Fable something. There was a Kingdra and a Greninja.
Mm-hmm. Yep, those
Ultra
collection
Premium
boxes.
They were good. Like yeah, they were pretty good. But just because the Greninja is such a good grading play.
Yeah, those two cards are so good. If there was good packs in those collection boxes, it would be so much better. Those Shrouded Fable packs are awful. Do you sell any Shrouded Fable in your streams?
I don't
think I've sold
so.
a single pack since like the week of release.
I haven't pulled the reports in a while, but I don't believe neither of them are asking for more Shrouded Fable. It's always 151, Surging, Crown Zenith.
Dan, that's not what I want to hear. I'm sitting on a ton of them, so.
Oh
God, that is such. There's nothing good about that set. Literally nothing.
Basic wants to know if you're hiring, Nick.
Hate to say it, Basic. Hate to say it. Not yet. Not yet. One of these days.
UAP says, why did Topps lose their relationship with Pokemon? Is there a story? I have a theory. I don't know if this is the actual case, but like Topps was being made when the initial like boom happened. And I think some of the latest Topps product there was like that Johto League. I want to say they came out around 2003. So I think the whole Topps Pokemon relationship was when Wizards of the Coast. That was likely something that was arranged to some extent while the relationship was there with Wizards of the Coast. As far as I understand the timing, when it transferred over to Pokemon, like Skyridge was the last set that Wizards of the Coast was involved in, right? That's right around the same time frame that we got our last top sets. And combined with the popularity really waning in Pokemon and then Wizards of the Coast no longer having access to it, I think that's when Topps dropped off as well. So it feels fairly likely that there was some connection through Wizards of the Coast for making that product. I don't know if either of you have any additional theories or insight or anything.
That's really that's outside my scope of sorry.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's totally outside of my scope of knowledge, like Topps, etc. So I couldn't add any insight.
I don't know any actual information either, but I wonder how much of it has to do with just Pokemon realizing how bad of a collab it was at the time. Because up until COVID, Topps was garbage. Nobody liked it. So I could imagine part of it was that nobody liked it back in the 90s.
I was buying. I enjoyed it. So when I first got back in, I know a lot of people have this story. Like Mason, you threw away a lot of the bulk. A lot of people have this story. Like it was, you were the lamest kid on the playground if you had a binder with Topps cards. I don't know what it was about my playground. Maybe all of us were just equally lame. I don't remember Topps having such a bad rap. Like I had some amount of Topps. Most kids had some amount of Topps. There wasn't like all the hate about it. It was just another cool way to experience without all those pesky words all over it. It was another way to experience the Pokemon. So when I got back in 2014, I wanted to buy every box, and I did. I bought and opened every English set box, aside from base first. I also opened a ton of Topps. Like I truly enjoyed it. I was buying Topps Chrome boxes for $100 a pop, and now they're 100x from that. They're $10,000 a piece roughly. But I probably ripped 15-ish Topps Chrome boxes at $100 a piece. I pulled two or three Techno Charizards, and those paid for almost the whole venture and then some. That was absolutely wild. Sadly, I sold all the Technos, all the Sparkles, all the Spectras, and I kept the rest for free and then some. I made money too. But I was buying the top series 1 boxes that are like $2 or $3 grand now. I was buying those for $20-$30 in mass. The Topps movie 2000, I was buying those, pulling the first appearance Lugia, like all those cards that go for crazy money now. I pulled them all. I sold them all way before they went up, but I still made money in them and I had fun. So nice to see you in here too, Maria. Maria mentioned she's here, usually listens to them after, but here live. Nice to see you. Here we go. Galaxy Card Shop with a scary question. How do you navigate a crash? I haven't gone through one yet since I only started at the beginning of 2024, but I want to be prepared. Not saying it'll happen anytime soon, but never know. A very dark, dangerous question in the middle of a boom. I would say, though, like when things are going up, when things are going right, the people who take huge risks, the people who take huge leverage, they're rewarded. It pays off. Things go well for them. But I've never been one to over leverage myself. I've never been one to like invest and speculate with other people's money, with City's money, with Chase's money, maxing out my credit cards. So having your financial affairs in order, having your financial house in order, having some amount of, not really an emergency fund, but having some amount of a liquidity pool to cover your ongoing expenses. But there's a lot of LGSs in this industry that run by the skin of their teeth. If the next set goes poorly, they're stuck selling it at a 30% loss immediately. Like a lot of people ask the question, why would a box ever sell for under cost? Why would anyone ever sell anything at a loss? If they have to do it to make payroll, if they have to do it to keep the lights on, they will do it. They have done it historically. They will continue to do it if and when that ever comes up again. So yeah, the more liquidity you maintain, the less money you'll make when everything goes up across the board. But the more liquidity you maintain, the more nimble you can be if and when it becomes time to pivot between selling platforms, or if and when it gets a little rocky, if and when the future gets a little murky and things get rough. The more liquidity you have, if you have 6 months worth of expenses for your personal life set aside, if you have 6 months worth of payroll and your lease and your electric bill and your like utility bills, you're going to make less when things go up, but you're also still going to be around in 3 or 6 months from now, if and when things get dark quick. So I've always gone the more cautious side. I've always been more well-capitalized, more liquid. And I guess I've made less money when it's increased, but I'm not going to be out of business. I can't be out of business anytime in the next 2 years minimum, like the way that I'm set up, the way that I'm structured, and the little risk that I take. What are you guys' thoughts on that question?
If you want to go ahead, you can.
Sure. I actually don't have too much to add to that, Dan. I follow the same philosophy. Like, your first goal is to make sure you can survive, and then your second goal is to optimize your profits. But yeah, not the other way around. Optimize your profits so much that if you face some headwinds, that you get wiped out. Yeah, your first goal should be to be left standing when that happens. Yeah, and it's tough because when everything is going well, it starts to become really attractive to dip in more, right? So I'm not saying it's easy, but it is the way to go. I do feel.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest thing. The only thing I would add is create a brand around yourself through Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Set yourself apart from every other seller, so that way you build a core audience of people who will shop with you instead of some other seller. Because right now we have a ton of people in the hobby where even if you don't have a core group of people who are buying from you, it doesn't matter because you're still selling stuff. When the market crashes, there's going to be less people buying stuff. There's still going to be a ton of people selling stuff. So you need a way to set yourself apart from everyone else. So building up a reputation, building up a brand, I think is really, really important.
And as I've said many times, I'm not ashamed to say it. Have a sugar mama. Have a sugar mama or a sugar daddy. And if things get rough, my wife's a teacher. I mean, school's only in session for 181 days a year. By my math, there's 184 days that she has available for a part-time job, maybe 2 part-time jobs if needed. So, oh man, that's funny.
I hope she's upstairs watching this.
Oh God. But yeah, that having a spouse is like a cheat code. I make the jokes about the whole sugar mama thing. It is a fact that her earning it covers mostly our bills. Having a spouse who can mostly cover your household expenditures is massive. That is something that I could literally make no money next year, and we would as a household like get by. I'm doing extremely well, so we're a long ways away from me having to close up shop. Long ways away. K-Man says clipped. Oh, gotta love out of context clips. That's gonna be a good one. Maria mentioned she was a Topps collector back in the day, so there were some of them out there, myself included, Maria included.
That's you two are the only ones.
But Galaxy, thank you for that question. That was a really good question. I think it's something that people lose sight of. People like cards will double in the past 4 months, rocket emojis, green lines. And I always have them. I always have my thumbnails lately. They get the clicks, they get people in watching your videos. But like people who have been around watching my channel for a long time, they know the disclaimer, Dan. They know the caveats. They know the appetite for risk that I have, which in general is very little until all my buckets are filled. And then it's like, I will play harder with the rest of it, but all of it's my own money. All of it's my own money. And that's not that you can't do it with someone else's. It just, you need to know consciously that it ups all the risk level when you're using someone else's money.
Mm-hmm.
UAP says, how do you deal with shipping and customs when it comes to labeling the correct details for what a Pokemon card is? Yeah, there is no perfect, like I'm sure you've probably dealt with it, Nick, too, like on the exporting side. Let me see if I can pull up my pirate ship really quickly and see what I classified as.
I was gonna say, do you use child playing cards?
I think there's 2 different ones that I've used before. I can't think of somebody that's in Canada that I would have saved in my thing.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've shipped anything internationally.
Yeah, I don't do it that frequently. Mostly I have to do it for like military bases, APOs, FPOs. They make you put in it's called the harmonization number. And it's like, I don't remember what the harmonization code is that I use, but it's like 1244688.0000. And I went through all of them before with USPS. I went through all of them before with FedEx. And I'm like, it's a Pokemon card. Here's what it is. However you want to classify that. And I know I've used different ones. I don't think it's a massive deal. I've almost certainly used toy, and I've almost certainly used, sometimes they do playing card, which is more like a set of poker, like just playing cards, ace through king. But yeah, there's no like Pokemon card. There's no perfect fit. You just kind of need to wing it, and there's probably 10 different things you could choose. And is it a gift? I mean, I've shipped a lot of things that were declared as gifts that may or may not have been gifts, but that one's pretty straightforward, whether it's a gift or not. If you're selling something, theoretically it's not, and it's supposed to be declared at the full value. But a lot of people like getting $5 gifts after they happen to transfer a large amount of money. So yeah, that's a different conversation.
It's exchanging gifts. One person's giving you money. The other
gift me $10,000. I gift you a $5 Pokemon card. What do you think, Adrien? Do you know, like offhand, when you submit to the US, presumably you have to do the same thing with like a harmonization number. I think that's like a global thing. Do you know offhand what you use or no?
I do. I do use the playing cards ones. But I know that for this product, that the children's toys and all, they're all good, I think. I mean, these codes, they're mainly, the first off, they're to check if the product applies for tariffs. So, and I don't think these goods are. And if it's any of the HS codes that are like they're not getting special treatment, or just going through, they're not going to bother to check if, oh no, this is not an actual playing card, it's actually a Pokemon card. Yeah, no. But I mean, yeah, definitely don't label it as food or weapons or whatever. Then you're gonna get stuck.
Don't label it
for a long
hazardous
time. But
materials.
yeah,
Yeah.
eBay had that glitch yesterday where they actually sent me an email. I saw a bunch of other people got the email too, but I had a couple shipments yesterday. I told my postmaster, I'm like, these are not hazardous materials, but they're labeled as such. And he's like, yep, let's just send them. Who cares? I know some people's post offices like declined taking them, which was interesting to me because like the fact that classification exists, presumably you're allowed to ship them as long as they're packaged properly. But I don't know. I used to deal with that where I used to work because we would ship a lot of it, and they had to have like drop tested overpacks. And I'm sure, Nick, on the shipping containers, probably some containers had some amount of hazardous materials or chemicals or different things like that. But yeah, go with playing cards, go with children's toys, and you'll be fine. That's what I've always done.
Yeah.
There's that one. Oh, Basic says thoughts on doing the Chase ATM money glitch to invest in the boom. So a lot of that was a handful of months ago, right? That was like over the summer, maybe. Things like that are just mind blowing. Like people learned what check fraud is. It's like, oh, hey, if I just write a check to myself, deposit it, and then it's so frustrating because banks will have such massive oversights such as that. And I know James just did a very nice ZNG Emporium on YouTube. Go check him out. He just did a nice bank rant video. I myself have done a nice bank rant video before, but I'm overdue to make another one. Because when I transitioned my bank from my credit union to the bank, I took like a $25,000, I forget how much it was, somewhere in that vicinity, a certified check. So the way like a regular old school check works is you write it, and it takes some amount of time to clear. Usually they'll put like a 5-day hold on it until you get your money. But a certified check, they pull that money as they print the check. The bank will pull that from your account instantly. So you know it's like good money. Like when I bought my car, I paid with a certified check. And the car dealership could call the bank, verify the money was actually there. And there's no risk of it bouncing because the money's already been pulled. So when I opened my Chase account with a certified check from my credit union down the road that I'd gotten 5 minutes earlier, the check was still warm because it had just been printed off. They held that thing for like 10 days.
What?
And then, yeah, like this summer, they had this check fraud thing going on where people were just depositing $3,000 in the ATM. Chase was making it instantly available, and then they were just withdrawing all the money from the ATM. Later on, the check would bounce, their account would go negative. Like that's a clear demonstration that we are suffering for financial education in this space. Like people just thought it was free money. It's like, no, you are committing a crime. You are stealing from the bank in a more creative way. That was such a wild time though. Oh God. Let's see. So I guess basic to give the short answer, my thoughts are don't commit check fraud, please. Eric Drinks Water says, question, how do you handle grading a new set? I've been hearing of people foaming at the mouth waiting to pay $130 a card to grade the new evolutions. They have no early access via distro or anything. Yeah, I would highly caution. There will be people grading the cards earlier than you. There will be people grading the cards cheaper than you. There will be people with better access. So just know that when you go into it, especially like say you're going into Nick's live stream on release night. Say you're going into my live stream on release night. The amount of time it's going to take you to get that raw card you pulled. There are people who get pre-release 2 weeks before official release date. Those cards will all be going to PSA. Not all of them. A lot of them will be going to PSA. So you will be behind if you're submitting on or after the actual release date. Not that you can't make money, just the risk level is increased the longer you wait. So that's a game that I've played before. I've spent $80 grading Express, $90 grading Express on a card that was similar price, and I've been burned by some. I've lost money on some when you hit the 9, when you thought you had the 10 and you hit the 9, or it takes longer to get back to you than you expect. But risk it for the biscuit. Like there is a reward there that could be had if you do it properly, but you need to know the downside of the play as well when you go into it. Anything to add on the first to market grading plays? Do you guys do them much?
I did not do. I sent most of my stuff just the bulk tier for Surging Sparks. But yeah, it's very, very risky. You do have to be careful, but I don't know. There could definitely be opportunity, especially with this EV set. Look at the I just just graded PSA 10 Pikachu for someone, the SIR from Surging Sparks. He pulled it in the live. We graded it at the $75 tier, and it came back at 10. That card is still $1,500 in a PSA 10. So we're what, 2 months away from the release of no, not 2 months, a month, and it still makes sense to grade those cards at that high tier if you have a fairly good chance of getting a PSA 10. So yes, it is risky if you don't know how to pre-grade. But I don't know. It could be a thing, especially with this EV set.
Probably being in the EU, it's harder to do for you, right?
Thing is, I can get a package to PSA in 3 days. So it's like, it's not impossible for me to compete, but you're saying the right things. I think if you want to be doing the early game, then you should try and visit a pre-release indeed. And then you can, because then you're early, you can actually scout out potential 10s. Because if you're buying a near mint blind and it arrives and you're not sure, if you're going for the early 10s, you really need to be super sure. And even then, I mean, you can get screwed. But I think if you have the opportunity to scout some good copies at a pre-release, then sure, why not risk it?
It's crazy. We said it so many different times in so many different ways about what's going on in this market right now, but it is wild. Mr. Walrus providing some financial advice. No downside, send it all. But that actually brings us to the end. That brings us to our final question. We've been going for almost 2 hours. We'll probably go for another up to 20 minutes if anyone has any final questions. Adrien, is there anything else like that we didn't get to that you wanted to cover? Any other topics that you guys like? What's going on this weekend? Anything else you guys want to chat about?
Nothing in particular necessarily. I mean, I enjoyed all the topics. Like, I wouldn't mind going for a bit longer, but there's nothing necessarily from me. Yeah.
Actually, I did miss. So Vandy asked, any shows this weekend? And then Nick said he's going to one tomorrow. So Nick, tell us about your weekend. What show's going on tomorrow?
So we've been checking out some local shows around Chicago. We've done what did I do? I did one like quarterly show that I'll go back to. There was one local show. There were 3 local shows that I've been to so far. I'll go back to all those. And then there's another local show tomorrow that I'm going to go to. Never been to it. But I figured try and just check out as many of these local shows as possible to see which ones are good for Pokemon, which ones aren't good for Pokemon. And try and kind of build a local local presence up. So that way I can try and source locally more often. Because like that's how it was in Massachusetts. I knew a bunch of people who I could buy stuff off of, but here I don't know anyone. So try and build that presence up a bit. And there's actually a good Pokemon scene here in Chicago, which is awesome. I actually bought a ton of Cosmic Eclipse off of one vendor 2 weekends ago. at a local show. So that was awesome. Been finding a decent bit of singles. I'm not so much after graded cards. It's mainly singles, but yeah, no, finding a good bit of stuff, which is cool. And so hopefully find more local shows that I can go to every month. Walrus and I were talking about it's like if we can find all these monthly local shows, do we need to go to so many collecticons, or can you just kind of dial that back?
Nick's done going to Collecticon. He's just gonna make people come to him. Chicago twice a year.
We got 2 Chicago Collecticons. Do I need to go to any more?
Yeah, I mean, living in such a big metropolitan area, you probably don't have to. I mean, you probably can find one literally every week, if not 2 a week. But I've been saying it for probably a year now. I still haven't visited. Shockingly, where I live, there are probably 4 LGSs within like 30 minutes of me. And I've been to all of them at least once over the past years. Like I just, some of them before I was full-time, some of them since I've been full-time. But I just want to go and like see, can I buy a bunch of stuff for streams? Do they need more Pokemon? Can I maybe sell to them something that doesn't work well for me? I just want to go and like, hey, I'm full-time Pokemon in the area. Is there any business we can do together? It's kind of like a big gap that I don't know why I haven't set out to do it yet, but at some point it's going to happen. But yeah, like the travel, flying a few times a year, I'm going to be doing events a few times a year because I live in the woods and I have to go somewhere. But I should be doing more. Like Syracuse, Albany, they have small shows frequently, and I've not been to many of them. I need to look into that myself. How's the show scene? And are there any big equivalents to like Collecticon in Belgium, or is it like pretty sparse?
I'm pretty sure there's nothing as big as those shows. I know there's local shows. I have no first-hand experience with them, but I'm pretty sure that the whole show, the show thing, the lifestyle is way smaller here. Yeah, but like Syracuse is the home place of TCG player, right?
Yep.
Like I would expect there to be at least some trickle down TCG con whatever wise from that, but it doesn't sound like it's the main hub for shows.
No, Syracuse. So it's like the New York State Fair is there every year. So the fairgrounds are only used for the state fair for like 2 weeks out of the year, but they have a lot of other events at the fairgrounds. It's they definitely have some card shows there. I don't know if they would have card shows there monthly, but they probably every other month at least there's a card show going on there that I see on my Facebook or Instagram ads. I just haven't been to any of them to check them out. I need to make it a point to go do that at some point.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it. It's different. It'd be tougher with you because they're all on the weekends, and where you have your wife and kids are off. Then you probably don't want to be doing Pokemon on the weekend. But I've been enjoying them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like usually our weekends are fairly busy with something going on. There's usually a party, but to do half of a day to just drive when you don't have to fly 5 hours, you don't have to just go for half a day, a 30-minute, 40-minute hour drive. Like it's easy enough that our schedule's not so busy that I couldn't fit that in from time to time. I'll definitely have to look into doing that more in the future, or at least at all in the future. Walrus wants to know, I don't really like giveaways that much. It's not because I'm greedy Scrooge. Maybe it is, but
Grinch over there.
I just, our live streams, I want to cultivate a following of consumers. I want to build a group of people who come and buy stuff. And you can grow. Numbers go up with giveaways, but not the numbers that matter that much. subscribers, followers, things like that. A lot of those are like vanity metrics more than anything in some ways. And I want the 90-day to go up. I want the measurable, meaningful sales numbers to go up. And indirectly, kind of directly, I think they can. If you do them the right amount, they can work. But I kind of steer clear of them altogether. What about you, Nick? Are you doing any big ones for the holidays or?
Oh, we got a whole bunch of good stuff going on for Christmas. So I started doing December 1st until the 23rd, which is when I'm gonna fly home for Christmas. Or I'm flying home the morning of the 24th. So I'm not gonna stream then. But I started going live every single night. And one concept is the daily deals. So every single night I have a new buy it now item for lower than what my eBay store is. The second one is a pack giveaway so it's a big giveaway and a pack giveaway combined where everyone entered their name into a spin wheel. I spin the wheel every night. The first night is 2 packs. The winner of that giveaway can either choose the 2 packs or they can get entered into the bigger giveaway, which will happen the 23rd. So if they choose the 2 packs, they get the 2 packs. They're not entered in the big giveaway. But if they choose to be entered in the big giveaway, the next night the packs double. So it goes to 4 packs, 8 packs, 16, 32. It's kind of surprising. The big giveaway prizes, first place is going to be all 3 of the Evolution collection boxes. Second place, Pokemon Center Celebrations ETB. And then third place, Terrestrial Festival booster box. So they're good prizes. But I've been kind of surprised at the number of people taking the packs. Like we had one person take it at 4 packs, 8 packs. We just got rid of 32 packs. So the packs really haven't been accumulating as much as I thought they would. I honestly thought we wouldn't have someone take them until it got to like 64 or
you should be
120.
Thankful. That math could get away from you very fast. If people would coordinate. How many days in a row were you doing that?
Since December 2nd.
And you were going to do it all the way to Christmas?
Yeah.
2 to the 20th is 1 million packs. 1,048,576.
Nobody's not going to take 500 packs.
If everyone could coordinate and work together, we could have all bankrupted Nick, Old School Pokemon. We could have all banded together. All you'd need is 20-something people to work together. And if they all agreed, like, hey, once it gets to the end, we'll all split it. 2 to the 24th, if it made it all the way to Christmas, that's 16.7 million packs. I mean, you would have 24 people splitting approximately $50 million. And Mr. Old School Pokemon would have to do a rebrand, relaunch for 2025.
Yes.
Get a different pair of glasses and a fake mustache. And, but yeah, that's a very dangerous giveaway without having like, this is going to cap at 30 or 64 packs and be like a forced giveaway at that point. That's funny though. Oh man. Were you aware of the math behind that, what it could have became or no?
I knew that, but I also knew there's no shot that someone's not going to take. Like I honestly thought it would get up to, I thought 64 and 120, whatever that is, would have been the numbers that people took it at. Because at that point it's worth more than your top prize of the giveaway. So I've been surprised that it's people have been taking them in lower quantities. But no, it's been a lot of fun. And I tell people they have to be in the stream to win the giveaway. Otherwise we respin the wheel. And it's actually really helped my active viewer count. Obviously there's a portion of people that are in there just for the giveaway. But pretty much throughout all the auctions, it's really, really helped my viewership. Now I don't know how much of it has to do with this specific giveaway versus just the time that we're in right now, it being colder outside, the market going crazy. So I don't know exactly what it is, but it's been a good December so far with the lives.
Well, definitely redo that promotion in 2025, and I'll make sure that I'm more active in your eBay live streams. Maybe I'll have a group chat going. Let me know your biggest 50 viewers, and I'll get a solid group chat going. I feel very bullish on 2025 in December because I've got a guaranteed way to make $2 million.
Yeah. And then yes, Walrus did bring up tonight actually eBay for Poke Nights. They actually sent me 2 cases of sleeve Surging Sparks blister packs. So every auction tonight we'll throw some of those in. So that'll be fun. I'm excited for that.
Nice. Basic wants to know, are we in Never Punish season? We could have been in Punish Nick season, but his viewers are not good enough at math to see that play that was obvious staring at them. But yeah, there's definitely some people being punished here and there, but not many things are very punishing right now. You can buy many different things, and they'll seemingly double in a month or two. From what it seems, it's crazy. All these Scarlet and Violet booster boxes being 120 plus now. It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Dan, what's the origin of Never Punished? Is it from the Pokemon scene or?
It's from Z&G Emporium. So James used to actually have, I think he called it the Never Punished podcast. He had a neon light behind him and Cam, one of his workers, and yeah, they just they said it was a joke that they used to make back during the boom. They would, when he started his consignment service, he'd get a CGC 8, whatever, a PSA 7 or 8, a 5-10 cent card, and it would sell for more than the grading cost, and the people would make money. So they just have a joke between them, Never Punish. You can submit anything and you can make money somehow. Definitely not the case. You need to be a little bit careful what you send. Some of these cards in front of me, what did I just show earlier? I showed that I don't even know where I put it. This Kakuna that hit a 9. That's probably going to be a little bit punishing. I can almost certainly. Oh yeah, the Kabuto that hit a 6. This was punishing. This was a consigner's card. This was not my own.
Oh,
but that one will have
very niche plays. What set is it?
Yeah, it's Japanese Neo 2, common and uncommon set. They wanted to send. I advised against it, but I was asked to send them, so I sent them. Some hit 10s though. I don't know what they go for, but the liquidity will probably leave some to be desired. The unknown F hitting a PSA 8. That is F's in chat for the unknown F. That's rough. Basic wants to know your thoughts on Metazoo Meta 2. Did you ever interact with that at all? And any thoughts?
I barely have any thoughts on Meta 1, so no, not really.
I'm gonna have to do a stream at some point. They are going to be. I think Charlie mentioned. I listened to. He did a podcast with some YouTube channel from Australia, I believe.
Yeah,
they're going to be distributed in New Zealand, and I can't remember where else, but they will be more readily accessible internationally than Metazoo 1.0 was. So I don't know if anyone cares to, but it seems like if you're an international, you'll have a better bet at getting it. But they've still not announced. My thoughts on Meta 2 are that I want to carry it in the future. I used to carry, but I don't know if they're going to have any kind of a partner program. I don't know if my distributors will have it. I only have 2 US distributors, and I asked my one rep. I asked my rep at GTS, and I'm like, so are you guys going to be carrying Metazoo? And he's like, Metazoo, I haven't heard that name in several months. And he was shocked that he didn't even know it was coming back. So I don't know what the time frames would look like on that. I don't know when a distributor would know and when they'd let their sales reps know, but presumably that one won't be carrying it. I would wager, I guess, but yeah, I don't know at all.
I had the same conversation with my Southern hobby rep. He had no idea Metazoo got bought.
Do you plan to buy some of the first set if you have access?
Yes, I would. I would definitely buy some. Yes.
Yeah, where I had left it, and I know not that many people watch my Metazoo Saturdays video, but I used to buy the boxes for $56 a box. So through distribution, these were in like the high 70s, I think, low 80s maybe, and I was a partner, so I had access to like significantly cheaper than that. Because of that, I bought $50,000 of UFO, $50,000 of Seance, and $50,000 of Native. It made it very plus EV to rip, given how cheap I was getting it. If I have a similar ability to get Meta 2 that much cheaper below the general distribution, like I would probably go the same route. I would stream some amount of it. I might break some for singles. But if I'm stuck buying it at 85 or 90, like Pokemon, and I'm buying it for 85 to 90, and the P Football Pete's are buying it for 75 or 80. Like, I don't know what it will look like, but if I'm paying at or above what everyone else is paying, I'll probably just buy a little bit of it and maybe stream some, maybe sit on some, invest in some, speculate, whatever. But I can't definitively say how I'm going to interact with it because I don't know how my pricing will be. We'll see though. It used to be a series. It's only been one new one since, but yeah, I've only had one in the past month or so, but then last year, and it was somewhat of a series. But
it reminds me of Basic Trainer, Metazoo Monday, not Mondays.
Yeah. I think he's done 2 now. He's done 2.
Oh, okay.
Eric Drinks Water says, have you guys seen that CGC actually tags stolen cards as possibly stolen in their cert lookup? I know it does very little, but I was curious what you guys think fundamentally. I know PSA will deactivate certs as well if a card has been like faked or whatever. I think that's kind of a weird policy, kind of a slippery slope when it comes to like the faking thing, because then you get people on Instagram, people on eBay that they'll blot out the cert number, but they'll forget to blot out like the barcode, so you can still get the cert number if you want to. The whole system is just really silly. But like, say I went to a show or someone went to a show and 5 or 10 different cards were like provably stolen from someone. It's nice that they can flag it in the system. All the person has to do though is like, and thankfully criminals are usually really dumb. It's so easy to make money without committing check fraud. It's so easy to make money like in this space, especially without lying, cheating, stealing. So thankfully the people that lie, cheat, and steal are usually really dumb, and they don't think to just crack the cards out and regrade them and then get away with it scot-free. So yeah, the fact that they will flag a thing in the system, I think is fundamentally good. I don't know how you could argue against that. But when it comes to like, if I post this on my Instagram and then some Chinese fake gets made with the same cert number, the fact that they deactivate mine and make me send it back in to have it recased and get a new cert number, that whole aspect is really silly in my opinion.
Walrus brings up a really good point. I've honestly never done that. Looked up a cert number. So for me, I'm not buying expensive cards. I guess for like really expensive cards, yes, that is a good check. But for everyday cards, I've never looked up a certain number to make sure it's real.
Yeah, I mean,
do you guys?
No, I can authenticate and grade a card better than PSA can, or CGC, or BGS. So I don't care. Like truly, that's my stance. That's my opinion. But yeah, like I remember when that whole Zhao thing was going on.
Yeah,
and like so many times the whole market will get into a frenzy over some bit of news, and it's not that rampant. Are there some fake slabs out there? Yes, but it's very exceptional. Like it's not the norm. but I've never like bought a card and then let me check to make sure the holo pattern matches like that star by Mario's head. Let me make sure on the scan that star is in the same place, that this card wasn't swapped out. I've never done that either. But presumably, like that's the idea behind it. The idea behind it is you can ensure that the same card wasn't swapped out or whatever.
Yeah.
Julia says she does look up the cert. So yeah, I mean, I guess some people do. I guess maybe the deeper that you are into all this, maybe you do it less, and then, but there's exceptions in every case. So I don't know. Maybucks wants to know if you have the no damage 9-tails.
No, I do not. No. One of these days it'll pop up. It's so strange that it's never popped up since it's sold on eBay. Like, we've never seen another picture of it since then.
And to be honest, too, like I'm not like, I will buy slabs to resell. I have cards all around me right now from this morning that I was paying out on before stream. But I don't like buy slabs to collect anymore. I buy them strictly for resale. And if I was a consumer buying a graded card to like add it to my collection, I would probably be more prone. But since I'm on like the reseller side of it, I just like, I'm buying at a percentage, I'm selling at a higher percentage, and it's just on to the next one, on to the next one. The volume, you can't do a lot of those like more particular time consuming things when you're dealing with the volumes that a lot of us like in the business of this are dealing with. Kiki Jiki says, when someone posts a crappy pic, I'll definitely look assert. And for most commonly counterfeited stuff like ponchos, I do think it would be worth looking up for a comparison. Yeah, I mean, theoretically, yes, but I never have in actuality. So I guess the option's there, which is nice. But that takes us past 3:30. We're again through the queue of questions. I think we're going to call it there. Thank you very much, Adrien, for coming on. It was nice chatting with you. As I said earlier, always nice to get a different perspective. Someone who's primarily in Magic, dipping the toes in the Pokemon more, and someone who's international, who interacts by necessity, like in a different way, faces different challenges, and cool to get that perspective. So appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thanks everyone in chat. I don't know if either of you have anything to say in closing, or if you want to just wrap up and let everyone get to their weekends.
No, I was just going to say thanks everyone for hanging out. Thank you, Adrien, for joining us today. And hope everyone has a hope everyone has a great rest of the weekend. I was going to say, I don't know if we have a PokeFlipz for Christmas. So if not, I hope all of you have a very happy or Merry Christmas as well.
We need to figure that out. Presumably the 27th will work for me. I know I don't know. We'll have to talk about that at some point, but yeah, it is the 27th. I don't know when I'm going to do my solo live that week because Christmas is Wednesday. Christmas Eve is Tuesday. We'll figure it out. But we will probably not see anyone before Christmas on PokeFlipz again. So yeah, hope everyone has a happy Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, happy holidays, whatever it is you're celebrating out there. And thanks again, chat, for hanging out this afternoon. Thanks, Adrien, for hopping in. And we will catch you all later.